And since I've now taken over the studio, my name is Ovni Volador. It is my pleasure, or maybe my nemesis, I'm not sure, to introduce the UFO report. Here's the Timbit.
Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
Now, let me tell you something there, Timbit. Don't be messing around with Ovni Volador tonight, because the flying UFO will seriously mess you up in this UFO report if you get anywhere out of line. I got Dave tied out outside the studio here, tied up against a pillar. He's not going anywhere. Can't hear him. The doors are closed inside this hermetically sealed outpost that we call SOR headquarters. And it's been a while since I took over this studio. Been a while. But I'm finally back, baby. I am finally back.
And you picked the UFO report to do it. What a guy.
Hey, somebody had to pick up this whole schmozzle that we call the UFO report. Believe it or not, if you were here right now, I'd hit you with a steel chair. I would.
I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start with that. So why don't we dive into some meat, shall we? Do you want to talk about some UFO stuff,
Well, before we do that, I mean, before this, Dave was trying to, be all cordial and happy with his audience hitting 20,000 on YouTube tonight. The only reason why Dave Scott and Spaced Out Radio hit 20,000 is because of me, Ovni Volador. I'm the man, the myth, the legend that brings the people to this show. And none of you even matter, because it's about me, Ovni Volador. Just rolls off the tongue so nicely. Oh, I'm going to do this UFO report with you, Tim, tonight, because I knew Dave would have screwed it up. So we're going to get right to it. Let's go. Let's do this thing.
Okay.
I want to talk about general aviation pilots encouraged to report UFOs to, once again, a new agency. What's this all about? Can't they make up their mind on what kind of agency? We've had like about 45 agencies in the last year. Tim, they have changed more UFO agencies in the Pentagon than you have underwear in a calendar year.
Or you have personalities, apparently. But either way, love it. Yeah, we're getting tired of it. I'm sure pilots are frustrated not knowing where to report at this point. You're absolutely right there. So Enigma Labs has jumped in as a new global platform for the UAP researchers and sightings to be reported to. So accepting submissions now from members of the aviation community, including general aviation pilots, flight instructors, students, military aviators, and others. This new agency will be taking new reports. And so, according to officials with Enigma Labs, an independent private technology company, building, quote, an empirical and reliable network of UAP sightings to support aviators and researchers, end quote. And so investigative efforts and aviation safety have been, quote, hindered by a lack of coordination and access to quality information. And so reports are submitted to the lab's website, and you can submit the report anonymously or not, depending on how the witness feels. But anyone can reach out to those people through the website, and Enigma Lab officials note that they will never pass along any of the personally identifiable information to third parties, including government organizations. And so unknown phenomenon have been witnessed for years, but they've eluded the scrutiny of analytical minds in the absence of publicly available information and the stigma of coming forward with a formal witness report. And so this is part of the problem that even Commander Alex Dietrich, a veteran contact pilot and combat pilot who witnessed a UAP from her F-16 off the coast of San Diego, she indeed engages in this work with Enigma Labs as an advisor in a collaborative effort to dispel the stigma surrounding UAP discussion and support the data gathering. And so looking forward, they are saying that they recognize the necessary, how necessary it is to come forward and report. And so they're trying to give this one location a kind of historically based foundation to put all these reports together and make it accessible for the public. So what are your gut instincts on another organization coming forward? Do you think that it's nice that it's independent and potentially they can do it anonymously? Is it going to be an option for them to do it where they may get away from this repercussion we've seen when they approach the UAPTF?
Well, I can tell you this. Sitting from my castle down in my lair, where I keep my eyes on everything UFO, Ovni Volador does not like this. Does not like this one bit. And let me explain to you why, Timbit. Here's why. It seems like they are trying at the Pentagon or the U.S. government, whoever is controlling this, trying their damnedest to shuffle off the UFO program and the information to whoever wants it. It's like playing the old game as a kid, the hot potato, where everybody's throwing the hot potato around because nobody wants to grab it. It's burning their hands. And that's what the UFO subject seems to be these days. It doesn't need to be like that. They don't need to bring it that way. You know, I mean, how many times have we heard this, that finally we have a group that's independent, or a group that's going to take over these files, or a group that's going to, you know, push the limits on getting to down to business with UFOs. We've heard this over and over again since ATIP 5 years ago, but more so the last 5 years, or the last 5 or 6 months, pardon me. So, I mean, if I could swear on this show, I would say get your crap together, because it's just another ball of confusion, Tim, on where the reporting is going to be, who's allowed to report, who's going to report. I think what we're going to see is we're going to see a lot more commercial pilots and private pilots reporting, because they now have a center, which will be a good thing. But overall, where do those reports go? Who's reading them? Do you and I get to read them? I highly doubt it. Maybe the odd one, but not all of them. Right? It just seems like it's another hot hand by the military and the military-industrial complex to shovel this topic off, hide it by saying they're doing the right things and they're doing everything possible. But this feels like rocks under your feet instead of sand, man.
Indeed. And we know even with MUFON, there's levels of transparency. Although you may be able to visit their website as a person in the public like me, you need certain levels of access as a member to get to the real meat of most of the cases. You can just get a very surface idea of them as a public person. And so, again, we don't know what levels of access the public will have to even this new organization. And so we need to keep our eyes on that. Again, we know what happened to a lot of the files back in the early 80s and 90s in the early conception of MUFON. They were actually purchased, weren't they, by Bigelow? And so if we know that these cases were given to MUFON for free and then they're at some point for sale, maybe this is just another way to generate money from witnesses out there trying to innocently report something real that happens to them in the skies. Who knows?
Well, we're going to see. But how much more do we have to play this game? I'm tired of it. Dave's tired of it. Tim, I know you're tired of it. I've heard enough of your crappy reports to understand this. Okay? And don't try and hide by wearing a camouflage t-shirt tonight. right? I can still see you. I can still superplex you right off the top rope, even if you're in Oregon. I'll never tell you where my lair is. All right,
That's some heat. Bringing some heat. I like it.
But
I like it.
that's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it. I mean, how much more of a game are they going to play? We don't need 75 groups to report this to. We don't need 75 different adjectives or adverbs in order to describe these groups. We don't need all of these groups that this is the one. This is where we're going. Okay? It's confusing. It's ridiculous. UAPTF worked fine. Right?
Yeah.
Now those who are in the know will break down the littlest of nuances. Well, no, this goes here and that goes there. Okay? And give a child a mask, they'll want to be El Ovni Volador. But that's not how it works, man. You know, they've made it into a land of confusion. And I don't understand the purpose. I really don't.
You may have just nailed it right there with that one word, confusion. You know, we've seen how pilots were given a hard time when they did try to report. And so maybe this is just one way of confusing them. Now they don't even know where to report. It's even harder. Did they just copy and paste the report to all of these agencies, or did they just stay quiet because it's just a headache to bother? Could be just confusing them. Who knows?
Could be.
Yeah.
But
that's a great point.
That's what I'm saying. Look, we have said many times over the last number of months. I've said it, Dave said it, you've said it, guests have said it. Grant Cameron will say it tomorrow night. Okay. This is about a narrative. And they just don't know where to steer the narrative. The narrative is like the old Chrysler K car, man. That's what they're driving these days down the highway, doing 35 in the 65 lane. That's what they're doing. And everybody's honking at them, trying to get their attention, and they won't move over. They won't make a decision. They won't make it easy. I mean, this is a bureaucratic mess. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine if we ran everyday life the way they're treating this UFO subject? We wouldn't get off the ground. We wouldn't get out of bed, man. I'd love to take these guys into the squared circle, drop a few elbows on them, give them a hip toss every time they want to change the name or the acronym.
Yeah, if this was affecting somebody's pocket or the public's pocket, you'd see a lot more outrage on this topic. But it's kind of like one of those things that they're able to hide their head in the sand, just the way Congress is and just the way the whole topic. It's frustrating, you know. And I know your audience, I'm speaking to a well-versed audience here. And so I don't need to get too deep into that, but it's a long conspiracy, that we've seen for 75 years of cover up on this topic. So it doesn't surprise me that they're trying to muddy the waters for pilots right now, so they don't even know where to report, even if it is Commander Dietrich leading the pack. It still just seems to muddy the waters for that group of people that are looking for a place just to report the strange things that they're seeing in the skies.
What's the difference, Tim? What's the difference if it's UAPTF, if it's Arrow, Argo, flatulence, whatever you want to call it? What's the difference? Because in the end, it all is going to the same place. It is all going to the reports are all going to end up in the same filing cabinet. And there are going to be those who are picking and choosing what we see. And 99% of that is going to be picking what we see.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And the fact is, who knows how much is going to get blacked out by the time we as the public get to see it. You know, that's a big thing. That's a great point you keep highlighting. That is the biggest frustration, because it's always hidden behind either a paywall or somebody's decision of what can be known and what can't.
Well, El Ovni Volador is a pretty smart guy. He's much smarter than host Dave Scott. All right?
I'll tell him you said that.
That guy couldn't add 2 nickels together. Believe you me. El Ovni Volador show continues with Tim Seanor's UFO report. When we return, oh, it's going to be a beauty. We're going to hammer someone with a steel chair, and we're going to talk more UFOs and the news right now. Spaced Out Radio with El Ovni comes back right after this. All right, we're clear.
So I was reading that there's a lot of evidence coming in now that T-Rex in particular had wings up there, and that there were feathers. Wasn't necessarily just little claws. Like, may have had a lot of feathers going on. Isn't that crazy to think he was a giant ostrich kind of looking thing? Potentially.
You know what I want to know about these idiot scientists is how can they figure out what a dinosaur sounded like?
Well, they can look at, based on how our structure works, or a chicken structure, because it's actually close to a chicken, believe it or not. They can see how they work and make some assumptions, because there's a lot of similarities. And so you can kind of go based on sounds. I think it's probably pretty close. And if they worked like birds, then imagine that. If they flocked and worked that way in that pack theory. Jurassic Park did a really great job, I think, bringing that concept to life. Some terrifying moments in those films.
I hated Jurassic Park.
Of course you did.
I just wanted one of the Jeeps.
Those Jeeps were great. How
somebody
did you hate that? Oh,
somebody in my town actually has one of those Jeeps.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
No kidding. Such a great series of films. Personally, I really love them. Just because, the concept also is really cool that somebody greedy enough to take that DNA and create a massive zoo somewhere. And of course it's going to get out of control, that the whole chaos theory is brought into it by a scientist, and they get a lot of interesting concepts hidden in those films that I think are actually happening potentially. We have sheep that are, genetically duplicated and modified and all that good stuff. So why couldn't they do that with dino DNA? It's creepy. It's crazy. Well, weren't they trying to do it with what is it? The big elephanty guy. Someone in the channel know. The woolly mammoth. There we go. Because they had mammoth DNA. They were going to try and genetically duplicate it, right? With an elephant.
I think they are trying to bring that back.
Yeah. What? That is Jurassic Park. Did we learn nothing from Steven Spielberg? Come on. It just kills me. Or the work of Michael Crichton, for that matter, because he wrote the books. And I was actually talking about him earlier with a book he wrote called Prey, about nanotechnology, and that's going to come into my very next story. So nice lead in. That was a very nice feed.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah,
I'm
Prey
enjoying
was
it.
a great book.
I'm enjoying it. Nothing too impressive, but I am enjoying it.
Up on the ropes.
Tim, I'm going to tell you right now. I can't figure out why Dave has you here. You're like beige paint on a wall.
Wow. Don't hold back what you think.
Hey, beige.
Or feel.
Apparently you wear ladies' hugs in the winter, too.
Wow. I don't think they're ladies. They're black. Maybe they're late. They could be late. They're unisex. Have you seen my eyes?
Derek Nang knows where it's at.
I'm joking. I don't have Uggs. Or do I?
Oh, you totally do.
Totally do.
You're the only guy I know who has a credit card for Forever 21.
I don't think I do. It's Hollister, I think. Might as well be. All right, you're giving away way too much insider information right now. How do you know all this about me? Are you checking my receipts? You're clocking in on my bank reports.
Look at Ozzy Ange. She's like, oh my God.
Yeah,
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Ozzy Ange. You're the type of lady who wears 5 towels after coming out of the shower.
Oh.
5 towels.
Oh, slam.
Yep. She wears 5 towels. Now, I can only say this because Ovni Volador can literally rock her 350-pound husband in the squared circle.
Oh,
He's
God.
like 6'8" and 350 pounds of muscle, and I can take him. I can take him.
Oh my God. This is just, I don't know where to start. I'm bringing you the real news, though. You know.
Hold on. Here, I got some radio to do here. Quiet. We round at third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Ovni Volador, filling in for Dave Scott, whoever the heck that is. Want to remind all of you good people out there, thank you for supporting me and my YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio. 20,000 subscribers we hit tonight. Very much appreciate that. Also want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out my free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Dave, do El Ovni the favor and hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow me on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. The Tim Seanor is here for the UFO report. I'd tell you it's good information, but I might be lying as Tim comes in each and every couple of nights to talk UFOs. Tim, you know, there is something going on in space with Copernicus and visionary and scientific advisory boards. This seems heavy, my friend. Seems King Kong Bundy type heavy.
It's not. It's actually exciting and new. So Copernicus Space Corporation announces Distinguished and Visionary Strategic and Scientific Advisory Board. So coming out of Cambridge, Massachusetts, the Cambridge Space Corporation is pleased to announce its Strategic and Scientific Advisory Board, or the SSAB. And so including the following distinguished visionary and proactive SSB members, they are going to be working together on some pretty progressive programs that I'm going to briefly explain. And so Dimitar Sasolov is a professor of astronomy at Harvard, and George Church, professor of genetics at Harvard, Francis Cordova, science and philanthropy president from the director of NSF. And we're going to flash down because including in this distinguished group of people that was actually established by none other than our Avi Loeb, ET investigator and believer. We also have Gary Nolan on this panel, and so professor of pathology at Stanford. But included in this are a lot of people that are leading authorities in things like string theory and VPs of marketing and development that came in from the International Olympic Committee. So advisors on getting the word out, right? And so creators and deep thinkers, Paul Davies, professor and director from the Beyond the Center of Fundamental Concepts in Science at the Arizona State University. And so this group of people are going to be, so Copernicus co-founders, Drs. Avi Loeb and Frank Laukin, as well as Copernicus directors Pete Worden and Rich Stein, enthusiastically welcome this group of people together in the next step regarding astrophysics, astrobiology, and space exploration. And so one of their concepts and instrumental plugins are going to be guiding and accelerating the Copernicus in its mission and developing platforms that potentially disrupt the space exploration paradigm with easy to deploy swarms of thousands and eventually millions of miniaturized craft with sensors and sensors and communications capabilities. And they're going to do this by developing AI and developing nanotechnological and synthetic biology-based multiplexed and scalable chipset in a nanoprobe and bioprobe technological platform. So basically, nanotechnology in a swarm formation for data gathering. And that's just my general sweep of what that concept is. And they're going to put this into measurement capabilities and build platforms for scientific measurement using these platforms. So it's pretty revolutionary. It's very much towards what we had been talking about offline here with some of what Michael Crichton had written about in his sci-fi books, such as Prey, right? Or even in Jurassic Park, where they were taking DNA and putting it into a platform where they could bring historical DNA back to modern day life. It's pretty progressive and pretty big out of the box thinking. And it's an amazing team that I've only scratched the surface of names on, but a few of them we know from the UFO world. And so I would be very curious to hear your take on this. I know you're typically not on board with science and technology, but does this concept of data gathering interest you at all, or this group?
I like it when brilliant minds come together. Okay, so yes, this group does interest me. You know, I don't want to make it sound like I'm contradictory or anything along those lines, because there is a time and a place. You have to be critical when you need to be critical, but you also have to give praise when praise is due. Now, this group has some brilliancy behind it. I just hope that they keep it scientific, like the SCU. I hope that they do not go down a governmental road like Galileo Project did and start adding a bunch of spooks, a bunch of spies, a bunch of government officials that are there to allegedly enhance the project for what it's worth. It really sounds to me, in not knowing much detail about it, that they are adding the right people to bring the conversation forward. I have much respect for Gary Nolan out of Stanford University. This is a man that, although he has ties to the government, he has put his own tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars into this study because he believes in it so much. All right. This is a man who is working all angles in order to get the story out. Now, when you get names like Gary Nolan on there, I mean, I did cringe a little bit when you said Avi Loeb, because that scares me a little, because that's Galileo. Now, the question that I have for you, Tim, and maybe you can't answer this, does this mean we've seen Galileo Project maybe put on a hiatus so he can concentrate on helping this new project in Copernicus?
So not at all. He co-founded this program before Galileo. Copernicus was started almost a decade ago, and they've got things in space already. So balancing these two is not new for Avi, and for him to be a board member on either an advisor or hands-on committee member is not a problem. I'm working multiple things. You work multiple things. This is just right in his program. The beauty of this is, and I mean, I would love to just go over that one more time, because the concept is really interesting. If you think about, if we were able to send swarms into space, that would be a very interesting thing to do. And originally this concept was to be in unison and was to be used to chase down a Muamua. But I don't know if that's what it's going to be used for. I think that that's out of the realm of possibility, perhaps by distance at this point. But the concept is still in development, and so we need something deployable now if that was going to happen. But again, let me just explain what this concept was, because they want to deploy swarms of thousands and eventually millions of miniaturized craft with sensors and communications capabilities by developing and deploying nanotechnological and synthetic biology-based multiplexed and scalable chipset, nanoprobe and bioprobe technologies, and networked platforms, including localized positioning, navigation, and timing, things that will coordinate it. So it's like drones on a micro level, if you want to think of it that way. But biology and synthetic biology based, which I'm not quite 100% sure on, but I know what they've done in the past in that way when they say things like that. It's very interesting. And so, I mean, it's out of the box thinking. I get excited when I hear that. It makes me think of how can I do that on my level and on my budget? Like, I want to do that. That's cool stuff, right? So does it get you juicy and give you ideas? Where does it leave you?
You know what? Show me the results.
Yeah.
We can add, I mean, much like all of these UAP groups or UFO groups that are going to start tracking, stop talking about it and get some bloody work done.
And show the results.
Okay? Show the results.
Yeah.
I mean, to steal, like El Ovni Volador, he's not starving. He makes a big paycheck. Okay. All right. Like the movie Jerry Maguire. Show me the money. Show me the evidence. Show me what you got. Stop creating groups for once. Okay? We don't need any more town hall meetings on this crap. There's enough evidence out there to start doing some work. And it just seems like continued posturing. I'm happy about it. Okay? But can we finally get to work and get some science done on this? Can we finally get to work to track down whether it's craft, where they're coming from, what is the direction they are going? All right. Everybody just wants to announce these groups. That's frustrating to me. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But then again, maybe, just maybe, we're going to see more.
Right.
And I think we will see more.
I mean, that's kind of where my mind went, I think, at the same moment that yours did. And I'm like, on the other side of the coin, we're having more of this interest, right? And the fact that dollars are being invested on technology to seek it out and perhaps help us collate it and figure out if there's any kind of, connection, right? Start sharing our information globally to see if there's any patterns developing. This is information that would be massively interesting on a global and micro scale. So to develop this sort of tech will help us to do that. And so this is just very much the first step, right? And I think you're absolutely right. It can be very frustrating to see more and more groups come out. But if they do things like this that are out of the box, that'll move this forward, given that we need the results in a timely fashion, I applaud it. Now, I know how hard it can be to have a package, at the end of your mission. Having something that's conceptualized and presentable in a way that's understandable is also tough. But this is a great move, and I do think, frustratingly, it is hard to say, yes, I'm psyched about more groups coming forward in the same breath as I agree with you, though. I'm hesitant to applaud it, but let's see some results.
Yeah, it's about time we've seen some results come out. I don't like seeing. I'll tell you something I don't appreciate is I don't like seeing the same people jump group to group to group to group to group.
Or being in more than one group, does that bother you?
I can handle 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Okay, but I start to get concerned around then because what is the ultimate goal here?
Mm-hmm.
What are we trying to accomplish? You know, Tim, I bug the paranormal world by saying this. Okay, and I've said this to Merle right in front of Dave and everybody. Okay, I've said, what do you do with your evidence? Well, we go over it. We see if we found anything. Okay, what do you do with it from there? Well, what do you mean? Well, you store it. You want to screw up a paranormal person? You ask them what you do with your evidence. That's the way it seems to be getting in the UFO world. When in doubt, create another group that we're going to discuss evidence. Where's the evidence? You're the scientist. I'm the woo guy. I'm here to bring you stories about things you don't want to talk about. I've got more information than you. The public doesn't care, Tim, about the phenomena. They don't care about the propulsion systems. They don't care that this craft can go from, 80,000 feet to 10 feet above sea level in less than a second. You know why? Because it doesn't affect them. You know what affects them? Reality, statistics, real reporting, real science, real experience. That'll wake the public up.
And what
But
would it
instead
take,
we're-
do you think, though, in this field? What would it take to wake people up on that scale? Really,
A grandiose schedule and a grandiose scientific effort in order to cover all sides of the phenomena, from the technology right down to what people are experiencing. Confirm it. Why have Gary Nolan there if you're not going to confirm it?
yeah. Did you feel that Travis Taylor having his foot in both fields and both worlds there for a while was a conflict of interest personally, or
Yes.
what's your take?
I thought he was a conflict of interest, just like Lou Elizondo. Right?
Did you hear him explain why he felt it was okay, and his take on it?
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's a lot of people who think it's okay to do bad things because they could justify it.
Okay.
Okay. Prisons are filled with them.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Travis Taylor's a crook. Don't get me wrong. He is a brilliant man. Okay. He is book smart. He is life smart on this topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think he very transparently and innocently accepted that role, thinking that he could balance that out. I don't think that there was any kind of nefariousness in his actions.
The minute he signed an NDA with Space Force, okay, his credibility in this field has to be questioned.
But what about when he signed one with Discovery Plus for his TV show? Are you okay with that? That's also
absolutely.
A no-no?
That's public. That's public. Okay, you go to do a television show, you have to sign an NDA.
Right, but if you join a high clearance job, you also have to sign an NDA.
But you're withholding from the public, Tim.
With no matter what, also with the TV show, but it's okay with TV, but not with Space Force?
It all depends what TV edits.
Well, that's the same thing. The Space Force edits.
No, because a television show is doing it for their own 1 hour or 43 minutes of what they can fit in and what they can't.
And I can argue the same thing here, what the public can see and what the public can't.
Are you
the Space Force? I'm just.
Are you eating lead paint chips again?
I'm just arguing that side. I'm arguing that side because I find it's a very tough line to walk. Because here's my question to you: if you, and we've asked this to each other before, if you were given the keys to the city, right? How would you sign your name on that check? Right? Because I know you'd take it. So my question to you is, how do you balance it? Right? How do you balance it? And I think that you can very innocently do either way.
If Space Force came to me and said, El Ovni Volador, we're going to hire you, okay, but you're not allowed to speak to this stuff, my first proper inclination is to step, if I accept that position, is to step away from the wrestling ring.
Right.
Okay? Because that is the right thing to do.
Totally agree. Okay, I get your point now.
That is the right
that
thing
is a
to
conflict of interest. If you have something where you're supposed to be publicly speaking on it, and then you point blank draw a blank when you're asked on that stuff, yeah, he should have taken a step away from the public purview if he took a secret job. I think you might be right there.
He should have stepped away from Discovery and Brandon Fugel's Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, I get your point now.
Unless Fugel
so
has an NDA with the government as well.
Oh, right. Oh, interesting. I never thought of that. So that would enable him. So if he was read in, then they could work together, but not have to talk about it publicly. Interesting.
Absolutely. Okay. And the way Fugel stated was that he had no clue until it came out that Travis came and said, by the way, I'm working for Space Force.
Right.
Now, if I was Fugel, and this is just me, he's probably, hey, this is a guy who's worth $500 million. Okay. If I was Fugel in that position, I'd lose my mind. I hired you to do a job, and now you're taking my results, taking them to the government. You're hiding this story, which we're trying to get out to the public.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like Lou Elizondo out of one side of his mouth saying, I'm pro-disclosure. I'm here for the public. I'm the face for this movement. Even though he's never said that. Just a quote, because somebody will try and gotcha moment there on old El Ovni.
Right.
Okay. But the point that and then going over to work for Space Force, where he's all about hiding this crap.
Mm-hmm.
We have too much of that. How do you solve if it's a continual tug of war on what you can say or cannot say with information? Right.
So you would keep to your NDA though if you signed it. Would you drop hints if you had to keep this show and your audience managed to keep you? Like what if you had a job with Space Force right now and you just hadn't told us and you're just really good at like your NDA and keeping to the fact that you
then I would expect my audience and all of my fans, then there's millions around the world upon millions. Okay. I would expect them to be upset with me.
All right, we can high five on that. We'll high five on that. There it is.
All right. Little Timmy Seanor, our Timbit, you hold on right there because it's time for us to say goodnight and take this smoke show home for the night. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Funny. Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Spreaker, Facebook, Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to hang out with El Ovni Volador, we've got room for you too. Good night.